Okay, today we're going to talk about area. Probably you have learned some of these formulas before. These are 5th and 6th grade standards, but I know that we all kind of had a different 6th grade year, so I wanted to review all of them to make sure that everybody has what they need for this chapter. So let's start with triangles. The formula for the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. And one thing that is important to know is that the base and the height of any shape make a right angle. So here's this, whoa, that is a very big highlighter. Here, this little square right here, we know means right angle. So even though they gave us 3 measurements for the triangle, the base and the height are the 2 measurements that make the right angle. So the base is 10 and the height is 8. So for that first picture, we would find the area by doing 1/2 of the base, which is 10, times the height, which is 8. So that'll be 5 times 8, which is 40, and we know that area is measured in square units. So for that particular problem, we didn't need to know the side that's 10 meters because that side is not the base nor the height. All right, for example B, we want to find the 2 sides that make the right angle. So they are the 6 and the 8. So the area of that one is 1/2, 8 for the base, and 6 times the height. So that'll be like 4 times 6, which is 24, and that is inches squared. All right. For a parallelogram, the formula for the area of a parallelogram is just base times height. Remember that a parallelogram is a 4-sided figure, a quadrilateral, that has opposite sides parallel and congruent. Example A is a special kind of parallelogram called a rectangle because it has 4 right angles. So we know that if this is 12, so is this, because remember, a parallelogram has opposite sides that are parallel and congruent. Congruent means same shape and size. So the base and the height of that shape are 22.5 and 12. You are allowed to use your calculator as long as you show your work. So I'm going to put 22.5 times 12 into my calculator to get 270. And again, area is square units. For the second example, that is also a parallelogram, and it has 3 measurements given. And they tell you that this side over here is 15, but that doesn't make a right angle with the base. So the base is 18 centimeters, and the distance between the base and the opposite parallel and congruent side is 13. So that actually measures how tall the parallelogram is. If you were going to measure your own height, you would measure straight down to the ground and make a right angle with the ground. You wouldn't go off to a slant like side 15 is. So always looking for that symbol here that indicates a right angle, and that's how you know you've chosen the right measurements for your base and your height. So we'll do 18 times 13, which again, if you need to, you can do that on your calculator. You'll just punch in 18 times 13 and get 234 centimeters squared. All right, so a trapezoid also is base times height. However, if you look at that trapezoid, it has 2 bases. The bases are the sides that are opposite, parallel, and congruent. These 2 sides are the bases, but you'll notice they're not the same length. So I need to average those bases. So the formula is going to look like this. The average of the bases, we'll call them base 1 and base 2. So an average means we add them together and divide by 2, and then we'll multiply it times the height. So it's the average of the bases times the height. You might also see it written like this sometimes, where they'll do like base 1 plus base 2. Oh wait, no, that's what I just did. Just kidding. You'll see like 1/2 times base 1 plus base 2 times the height. That's really the same thing. Taking half of those or dividing by 2 would be the same. I like the first one because you don't really have to memorize as much, since it's really still the base times the height, but since there are 2 different lengths for the bases, you're averaging them. So let's do example A. I'm going to add those bases, 100 plus 120, and divide by 2, and then multiply by the height. So again, the bases are the sides that are parallel. You'll notice the other 2 sides that are opposite each other are not parallel. And again, we're always looking for this right angle symbol so we know what the height is. The height is 25. So 100 plus 120 is 220, and then 220 divided by 2 is 110, and then I'll use my calculator to do 110 times 25, and I get 2,750, and that's going to be meters squared. All right, so a trapezoid can face any direction, just like all of the shapes can face any direction. So the bases are still going to be those parallel sides. Base does not necessarily mean bottom when we're talking about geometry. They could be on the sides, those bases. We're looking for parallel sides. And then the height is going to be whatever length makes a right angle with those bases. So we're going to add 5.5 and 4.5. Divide that by 2. That's how we find the average of the bases. And then multiply by the height, which is the distance between them. So 5.5 plus 4.5 is 10. 10 divided by 2, of course, is 5. And 5 times 3 is 15. So it'll be 15 inches squared. And then the last shape we're going to talk about is one that you might not have done in elementary school. It is going to be a polygon. Any regular polygon. A regular polygon has all equal sides. And the way we're going to do that is by cutting it up into triangles. So if this is a regular pentagon because it has 5 sides and one side is 10, that means they're all 10, because remember the definition of a regular pentagon is that all the sides are the same. So if we draw a triangle in here, this triangle has a base of 10 and a height of 7. So we could do 1/2, this is the formula for the area of a triangle, 1/2 base times height, and that's going to be 35. And then there's going to be 5 identical triangles that are all 35. So you could do 35 times 5 to find the area of that polygon. And that gives us 175. And they did not give us units, but if they did, it would be square units. All right, and the last one we're going to do the same way. We're going to make triangles. So here's a triangle, and it's going to have 6 equal triangles because this is a hexagon with 6 sides. The area of one triangle, this one right here, or any of them really, but that's the one where they drew the measurements in for us. We're going to do 1/2 the base times the height. So we're going to have 8 times 12 there, which is 96. And then that's just the area of this one triangle, but since there's 6 of them, I'm going to multiply the 96 times 6, and I get 576. And again, it would be units squared. So there's the area of triangles, parallelograms, trapezoids, and polygons. Thanks for watching.